Hey everybody, I hope that this video finds you well today. I just want to let you guys know that all is well here with me and I'm enjoying my relocation to Birmingham. I do think I'm recovering from a pretty nasty cold though, which was not fun by the way, but I think it was a great source of reflection for me because inflammatory markers do in fact produce sort of mood symptoms. I felt pretty down, pretty fatigued, and I was feeling all my emotions so much more, and it's just amazing when the body is responding to something like a threat or an infection, how that can take a bit of a, it can take a toll on the mechanisms of the body that allow for homeostasis and stress regulation. And I think you can extend that metaphor out to the psychic dimension, the relational dimension. So, if you're in an environment and attachment relationship is a source of stress for you, that has consequences on the immunological status and of the body. So that all being said, we are pretty interesting creatures, aren't we? God made us that way. So in this video, I wanted to just do that brief kind of update there and then speak to an exciting book that I finally pulled the trigger on, which is Hidden Springs by Mark Solms, which is an exploration of the source of consciousness from a uniquely neuropsychological, sort of analytical and neuroscientific perspective. So he is a neuropsychologist and a psychoanalyst who was heavily influenced by Jaak Painskep, who I have read a lot. His book, Affective Neuroscience and the Archaeology of the Mind, serve to support a truly holistic model of mental health care because they locate the source of consciousness itself within the brain stem and the lower subcortical structures of the brain. And I think there are implications for how to be a good helper because human beings are inherently emotional beings in that they are meaning-oriented beings. And we see even with the most disturbed people, psychotic and borderline individuals, that they are rife with meanings, but the meanings sort of undermine their sense of self in that they might not have a coherent sense of self, but they still very much are sort of oriented towards what could be considered the reality of relating, right? There's a need for meaning, the impulse to meaning. And it's just very, very interesting to me. As I move forward, as I learn to be a prescriber, and I'm trying to ask myself, how do I reduce, ideally, the amount of medications I use? How do I support the subjective qualia, the meanings? Because that, to me, is the art of psychiatry, the art of psychotherapy. We have to respect the meanings, and we can look at behavior all we want and say this behavior is pathology, but we have to go underneath to understand the subjective sense of self, as well as the subjective sort of orientation towards other people. They are related. Crazy, I know. It's not crazy, it's intuitive. Self and other are inextricably tied together, and that to me is also very much a holistic perspective, because what you're doing is you're making the very real claim to reality, which is the reality of the other, the affective sort of response, the psychological sort of engagement between other people feeds back in on the self in a way that does influence physical reality, biochemical reality. So that being said, that's a reflection for you, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.